Panther people, what up? We're going to talk about real-life expectations for Matt Corral and maybe taking a peek at next year's draft class. All right, before we get started, I want to thank everybody who watched my draft recap episode. That was a lot of fun. That was the most views I got on a video in a very long time since the season. So that's kind of cool, getting in-season viewership in the off-season, and also the amount of likes and the comments and the debate that continues to happen in my mentions about the Panthers draft. So let's talk about that right now. Now, we already know Ikem Ekwonu is going to be an absolute stud. There really is no reason to go back and talk about how awesome he's going to be because we already know he's going to be awesome. And speaking of Icky, he has inspired me to do some things with this channel, and that includes some merch, potentially some merch. All right, so stay tuned. Make sure to keep watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Panthers Post #1. You can also follow me on Instagram if you want. I put on a lot of clips on that as well, at phil.perkins.news. So stay tuned. Could be having some merch on the bottom of this screen that you could purchase and you could wear and you can rep, and it's going to be good. Trust me, it's going to be good. So let's focus on the guy that seems to be the focus of a lot of conversations right now, and that's third-round pick quarterback out of Ole Miss, Matt Corral. Now, we know, let's put it up front, I love this guy's story. I love his moxie. I love the way he was brought up. As I said during the comments and also on Twitter, the fact that he had some red flags for beating up Wayne Gretzky's son. If you peel the onion a little bit, you realize that when he was in that high school, this is Matt Corral, he didn't like being around a bunch of spoiled rich kids who never worked for anything. So already, chip on his shoulder, blue collar type attitude. This is before he was super duper rich, which he is now. I like that kind of attitude. I really, really do. I love the underdog mentality. I love that he feels like, he actually tweeted, he feels like he's been counted out his entire life. You see his heights anywhere between 6 foot and 6'2". He's always had to prove himself. He was very successful in the most competitive, most NFL-like league in college football in the SEC, one of the biggest, craziest markets at Ole Miss. And so there's nothing taken away from what he has accomplished from high school to college, also on and off the field, especially off the field, what he's accomplished since then, what he has overcome off the field. So this kid is awesome. I'd love to have a beer with this guy. Probably not a good thing to have with him. I'd love to work out with that guy, push-up competition or something like that. I think he's a great dude, and I do think he has a shot to supersede Sam Darnold. I really do. The way I see it playing out between Sam Darnold and Matt Corral is I feel that Corral is just a dog. I feel like he is an alpha. And if you look at that quarterback room, it is alpha. They got prototypical football quarterback alpha in Matt Corral. You got Sam Darnold, who is the California cool guy, and you got PJ Walker, who is the savvy vet, who's been through the ringer, XFL and all that business. And, he could also be an alpha as well in his own right, but I do feel like that Matt Corral is just going to take over. He is just going to take over personality-wise. As long as he can get the scheme and he can get the Ben McAdoo scheme, and if the Ben McAdoo scheme is going to be an RPO type thing, it looks like it's going to be a run heavy. I feel like with his quick release and his athleticism in the pocket, he can see the ghosts and he can evade the ghosts, whereas Sam sees the ghosts, can't evade the ghosts. And I feel like he could take over. I'm not saying he's a week 1 starter, but I feel like week 2, week 3, if Sam Darnold starts, not taking advantage of the weapons at his disposal, the way improved offensive line, and the new system with Ben McAdoo, I feel like Bank of America Stadium is going to be calling for Corral, and I feel like that could happen. We need to be honest with ourselves that he fell to the 3rd round for a reason. All these quarterbacks fell to the 3rd round for a reason. Now, whether it's their skill set, or it could just be people looking at the greener pastures in the 2023 NFL draft, and that's where I'm getting to. If the Panthers somehow finish in the top 10, like a lot of these mock drafts, way too early mock drafts, are prognosticating that the Panthers will finish in the top 10 again in the draft, which would be a terrible, terrible, terrible outcome for the Panthers, at least for Matt Rule. He'd be fired. Fans might actually be happy about that. It would put the team in a little bit of flux, but if that were to happen, and if this is a good and as deep of a quarterback class as professional analysts have been saying, then you cannot sit back on your hands and just have your hands out and twiddle your thumbs and not pick a quarterback that is not only graded in the 1st round, but would actually be taken in the 1st round. You could argue that if any of these quarterbacks, whether it's maybe Spencer Rattler, assuming that he has a great season in South Carolina. Or if Bryce Young was in this draft, would he be the first overall pick? Absolutely. Maybe not with Jacksonville, but if it was the Houston Texans, 100% he would have been the first overall pick. There's no doubt. There wouldn't be any, where's Bryce Young going to fall? Is he going to even make it, past the first round? Is he going to make it to the second round? Is someone going to nab him late in the third? No. And so if the Panthers have an opportunity, whether it's in the top 10 or in the opportunity if they're, mediocre, which we hate being mediocre, right? We hate it. You have, and you can pile picks together. Scott Fitterer said he was happy he didn't part ways with next year's first or second. He did part away with a third, but if they could package picks together, trade up, get a quarterback that is not only great in the first round, but would actually be taken in the first round and sought after in the first round, you got to do it. You have to pull at Arizona Cardinals. It worked out for them, and so, they got Josh Rosen. He was a top 10 quarterback. And then they did it again the next year, first overall with Kyler Murray, because they saw what they had and like, okay, good, but this is even better. And that's what you're going to have to do. And that's what I've been saying with people. I've been saying on my YouTube channel, on the comments, community below, great place to be. Maybe Matt Corral should just sit this one out and learn. I honestly don't know if Matt Corral has the luxury to sit and learn. It's the NFL. You got to show us right away. Unfortunately, not everyone could be Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, when he was a rookie, it was like freaking 20 years ago, people. But things have changed. You're a rookie. You've been making money in college. You're kind of already a professional then, especially if you're in the SEC at Ole Miss. You're coming to the pros. You've already kind of been a pro. You have to show us what you got. I don't think he has the time to sit and wait and learn the system that hopefully could be somewhat catered to his skill set and what he's learned with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. But I just don't think he has the time. I don't think he has the time. I think if Sam Darnold screws the pooch, I don't think Matt Rule will have the time. They have to put him in there, and he has to show what he has to offer. Because if he doesn't, if he just sits there, and he's just a nice bench player, a nice locker room guy, a good weight room guy, and then you have this studded, just filled quarterback class of next year. What are you going to say? You're just not going to draft these, bona fide stars because of Matt Corral's potential on the practice field? No, you're not going to do that, because in the meantime, you got C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, all these cats, Levis from Kentucky, challenging for championships or winning a championship in Bryce Young or in C.J. Stroud, while Matt Corral is sitting on the bench and just learning and, being a good guy. I don't think that's going to work out in his favor if he sits. I think if he has to play, if he can come in week 3, week 4, whatever, and then, spur a winning streak, have the Panthers challenge for a wild card spot, or even better, then maybe, the Panthers organization could be like, hey, okay, you know what? These quarterbacks are great and all, but look at Matt Corral in his rookie year coming in at a tough spot, thrust into the starting role, and he proved to us that he can take a professional team somewhere. He could take advantage of the weapons that we have, and we made it to the playoffs. We made it to the wild card with a rookie quarterback who's making $5 million over the next 4 years. Let's ride with him and then draft another need, whether it's an edge, maybe trade up to get the Will Anderson kid out of Alabama. Who knows? Or maybe another linebacker, or you could trade down from your spot if they're, somewhat lower in the first round. And then you make the team better that way, and you build around the rookie quarterback that you picked in the third round, kind of like Scott Fitterer and company did with one Russell Wilson, ended up winning a Super Bowl. So if that works out, great. But I feel like the idea that he needs to sit down and learn is just not going to work out for anybody. With that, let's do a quick 2-round, way too early, 2023 NFL mock draft. That's right. 2023 NFL mock draft. 2 rounds, because the Panthers actually have a second-round pick this time. All right. And so PFF has slated the Panthers to be picking 7th overall. That wouldn't be good for Matt Rule. If that were to happen, that means Matt Rule is out of here. Got a new coach. Whether there's Eric Bieniemy, who knows? Let's say it's Eric Bieniemy, because that's who people want. All right. Falcons on the clock. 1st overall. That's going to suck. Oh, they get Will Anderson. Good to know. So they must have really liked Desmond Ridder. Wow. So literally no one. So Will Anderson to the Falcons. Jalen Carter. Again, I don't know any of these people yet. Okay? The season hasn't started yet, but I'm hype already. Somehow the Hawks, who need a quarterback, took a tight end. No one took quarterbacks. We got Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Honestly, there's something about the Alabama thing where everyone is too good around you. Like there's some clips, obviously if you watched, kid always had a clean pocket. And by kid, I mean a kid, he's like 6'1". I'm going CJ Stroud. So I just picked CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. I think he's got, just better NFL traits. I feel that just the size matters. I think the size really does matter. Tua Tagovailoa, not that much bigger than CJ Stroud. Also won a national championship. Also won a Heisman. And, he's had a kind of an up and down NFL career. I feel like CJ Stroud could have a little bit of a better, smoother transition when your O-line isn't the best O-line in the country. All right. Now, in the second round, we could trade down, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to get crazy with this way too early NFL mock draft 2023. So I know the Panthers, they got Brandon Smith. Let's assume he does well with Frankie Louvu. Could get Noah Sewell out of Oregon, the linebacker. Michael Mayer, who is an absolute beast of a tight end at Notre Dame. You can have him and Tommy Tremble together. I'm like, why am I even looking at names? I don't know who these people are. I'm going tight end. Boom. You just got a rookie quarterback, and then you just give him a nice little security blanket and a very, very dominant tight end in Mayer. Now I'm getting it graded on my draft. I'm going to remember this. Timestamp this. C+. Okay, so B+. All right, I'm going to remember that, PFF. So that's my way too early 2023 NFL mock draft. Let me know how you feel about my feelings on Matt Corral. And, can he afford to sit down this season, or should he be just thrust into the spotlight? See what we got. It's a results-based business, and if he sucks, 2023, as you saw here, CJ Stroud, you have your pick of the litter. Have your pick of the goddamn litter. All right, let me know how you guys do it. And also for all you guys from Raleigh, North Carolina, not Raleigh, North Carolina. I hear you. Common community. That's how I learn. I learn all these things. All right, see you guys Thursday night. Schedule release. I'm hyped.